They say history is shaped by battles, treaties, and leaders. But sometimes history is shaped by a single, unknown human being. This is the story of how the world's nuclear strategy evolved, not through speeches or doctrines, but through the fears, mistakes, and miracles that happened behind closed doors. It began in deserts and atolls, places chosen precisely because no one lived there. On July 16, 1945, at a site called Trinity, the first nuclear explosion cracked the dawn. The scientists expected power, but not this. The shock wave knocked observers back. The sky turned white. And J. Robert Oppenheimer whispered the line he would never escape.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
The United States believed possession of the bomb meant control. But only 4 years later, in 1949, the Soviets shocked the world with their own explosion. Two superpowers now held the fire of the gods, and neither trusted the other. Nuclear strategy was born in fear, not logic. By the 1950s, the doctrine of the time was simple and terrifying. Mutually assured destruction, MAD. If one side launched nuclear weapons, the other side would retaliate with equal or greater force. There would be no winners, only the end. But inside the Pentagon and the Kremlin, the strategists were not reassured. They imagined every scenario: a radar glitch, a bomber squadron lost in the snow, a submarine captain making the wrong call. This era produced weapons capable of erasing continents. And yet it also produced something unexpected: the idea that not using nuclear weapons required strategy as sophisticated as using them. October 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Most people know President Kennedy and Premier Khrushchev stood on the brink of nuclear war, but few know the story of the man trapped in a burning submarine beneath the Atlantic. His name was Vasily Arkhipov. His submarine, B-59, was overheating. The crew was exhausted. American depth charges exploded around them. They believed war had already begun. The captain ordered the launch of a nuclear torpedo, but the protocol required 3 officers to consent. 2 said yes. Only Arkhipov said no. He refused, calmly, firmly, knowing he might be court-martialed or executed. The torpedo stayed silent. The world survived. Years later, an American historian said, "A single Soviet officer prevented World War III." Arkhipov never considered himself a hero, but the doctrine changed after him. Greater control, clearer communication, and stricter authorization, all because one man, in one moment, hesitated. September 26, 1983. Another name lost to history, Stanislav Petrov. He sat alone in a Soviet early warning bunker. Alarms screamed. The computer reported 5 incoming American missiles. 5. Exactly the number expected in a limited decapitation strike. Petrov had minutes, maybe seconds. Protocol demanded he report the attack immediately, but something felt wrong. 5 missiles, not hundreds? He made a decision no computer could make. He told his superiors it was a false alarm. He was right. A rare alignment of sunlight had fooled the satellite system. But in that moment, nuclear doctrine evolved again. Human judgment, not machines, became the final safeguard. Petrov later said, "I was simply doing my job." History quietly disagreed. Just weeks later, NATO conducted a large-scale exercise called Able Archer 83. It simulated the process of nuclear escalation too realistically. In Moscow, the Politburo panicked. They believed the exercise was a cover for an actual first strike. Soviet nuclear forces went on high alert. For the first time in history, nuclear misunderstanding, not conflict, could have started a war. After Able Archer, both sides realized if doctrines don't communicate intentions clearly, disaster becomes easy. This led to new hotlines, new verification protocols, and eventually treaties to limit arsenals. The Cold War didn't end because trust appeared. It ended because both sides realized how fragile the system really was. 1991. The Soviet Union collapsed. Nuclear weapons sat unsecured across 4 new countries. Smugglers tried selling radioactive materials. The world believed nuclear risk had faded, but in truth, it had simply changed shape. Doctrines shifted toward counter-proliferation, preemptive strike theories, deterrence against rogue states, missile defense systems. Nuclear strategy became less about one enemy and more about many unpredictable ones. By 2025, the nuclear landscape is dramatically different. 9 nations now possess nuclear weapons. Some modernize, some expand, some keep their strategies deliberately ambiguous. China's limited but survivable deterrent. India's no first use promise. North Korea's survival-based doctrine. Russia's escalate to de-escalate policy. The U.S. triad modernization. The old bipolar logic of the Cold War is gone. Now we live in a world of multipolar deterrence. Complex, fast, and harder to predict. Cyber threats, autonomous systems, misinformation, and hypersonic missiles blur the lines between conventional and nuclear conflict. For the first time, the danger is not just a missile. It's the speed of miscalculation. Nuclear strategy has evolved, sometimes through treaties, sometimes through technology, but most importantly, through people. A man in a submarine. A lieutenant colonel in a bunker. A handful of leaders who stepped back when others pushed forward. The world in 2025 is still dangerous, still unpredictable, still shaped by the fire first ignited in a desert 80 years ago. But if history teaches us anything, it is this: the most powerful element in nuclear strategy is still the human being who chooses not to press the button.